Hey, Dental Nachos crew, it's Paul, Dr. Nacho, with my friend, awesome Nacho sponsor, and super efficient root canal and crown prepper. He's got a whole t-shirt that says that. Super efficient root canals and crown preps, Dr. Aaron Nicholas, who is one of our amazing supporters and sponsors and teaches dentists how to do root canals and crowns with efficiency, but also with amazing results. Dr. Aaron, we do so many fun things together. I know you're here to talk about what you do to help decrease stress for dentists here. So just for people who don't know you, just orient our audience as to who you are and what you do.
Okay, yeah, Aaron Nicholas. I practiced for 34 years, started teaching towards the end of that period of time, sold the practice, and now I'm trying to do more teaching than more practicing. So I work back a day, so just to keep my hands wet. And my whole thing has always been about efficiency and standardization and making the whole process of doing the dentistry smoother. Because if you can do that, you tend to have better results, faster results. You're happier at the end of the day. Your staff's happier at the end of the day. And your patient's in the chair less time. And that makes everybody happy. So that's kind of where we're.
I want to share something. You know, when people say something happens 99.999% of the time, this is a real one, Aaron, because I always say, there's nobody who wants a dental appointment to last longer. But one time when I was a new dentist and we did evening hours, I had a 7 o'clock appointment and I was a restaurant server. I'm very good with managing expectations. So I said to this wonderful patient who could only come at 7, I said, this filling is scheduled for an hour. And at 7:22, when I was done with an easy filling, I proudly sat her up and looked at her. I said, we are done. And she looked at me and said, can you take longer? I'm a new mom. This is my only break of the day. So one time, one patient, but everyone else wants to get out of there. So you help people get out of the chair and also help dentists who, let's just be real for a second, Aaron. I mean, you're out there, I'm out there. How has dental school education left a lot of dentists not trained well enough to operate in the real world? We're trying to be as diplomatic as possible, right? You know, not really trained well enough to go out there and do this. What have you seen in your courses when it relates to this?
Yeah, I mean, this actually started a change in my thinking and policy with the courses, because initially I was like, you know, students would ask me, can I come to the course? And I'd say, no, you need to be out there and know what your limitations are. And I talked to a friend of mine that also does some teaching, and he said, you know, the truth of the matter is, because of COVID, because of the time that was available, because of the experiences in dental school, a lot of the younger docs and the docs coming out need as much experience as they can get. And so we actually started allowing students both into the 1-hour mobile root canal course and into the 90-day clinical accelerator course. And I'm telling you, A, they're sharp, and B, I feel like they're really getting a lot out of it, and it's moving them forward pretty quickly from what I've been seeing in my courses. You know, it seems like they're doing well with that.
I think one of the things I think about when you say that, and it's really awesome that you do that, is they're kind of have a lot of anxiety about paying back loans, and they kind of have a lot of stress about, do I know what I'm doing? And that makes people pay attention sometimes. You know, if you brought 45-year-old Paul to relearn root canals, I ain't doing it, Aaron. I'm older. I don't even want to say I'm lazier, because I'm not lazier. But, you know, what's kind of cool is sometimes the right time is right when you get out there, right? Because you can start offering a service that maybe the office doesn't offer, make yourself a more attractive associate to the practice. I think one of the things I'll share, and I know you've had it, I worked with my amazing dad for many years. The best thing he could say to patients when I was at the practice was, I don't do implants, Paul does implants. So he like removed himself from being able to do it. So they say, I want you to do my crown, not the young guy, right? But when he could say, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is not something I do, but if these are the magic words, if you'd like to stay here and get it done, Paul can place this implant for you. And I was very responsible in knowing my limitations. And I didn't do lateral window sinus lifts, but I had a really good time placing implants on patients in straightforward cases as a new associate. So I think what you're teaching out there is great. Tell us a little more about the process, Aaron. Somebody's watching, they text Monday to 215-543-6454. They get a great resource and opportunity to take one of your courses. But what's next? Like, do you do these in person? Is it all online? Tell us about the details.
So we have a couple of different things. We do have online streaming courses, and you do get CE, you know, through the AGD and all that sort of thing, or whatever the proper terminology for that is. Then we have in-person courses, which is the course that we're giving tomorrow, actually. And the docs come in, and I'll talk to them for the first half of the morning, and we look at what the research says, not what manufacturers want to sell you, not what other people are saying, but like what the research says. And it's a lot different than a lot of the stories that are floating around out there. We look at success rates. We are all about results, maximum results, minimum time. If it's not getting us there, we're not interested, and we keep moving. So then they after lunch, they're going to practice, and mostly on extracted teeth. And we're not going to get caught up on one tooth where everything doesn't quite go right. It's like we're going to get lots of reps in. And what happens with everybody when we're learning something new is, like, I say something, it goes through the filter in your head and it comes out your hands as the exact thing as you did before. So it's good to have somebody look over your shoulder and go, okay, yes, that's it, but a little more like this or a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
And actually learn the technique. And now you have something that you can fall back on. And then if you want to adjust the technique down the road, that's cool. Do what works for you, but at least you have something that works. And now you can go, I changed this thing. Does it make it better or worse? If it makes it worse, you throw it away. You go, maybe the next thing, or maybe you decide this is the way to do it.
Right.
We've seen that over and over with our students too. They'll try to put my technique together with their technique. And I always ask them, do mine first, get yourself a baseline, and then decide what you want to keep and what you want to throw away.
Love that. I mean, what you're sharing, it's small tweaks make a huge difference but if you never know how to make those tweaks, Aaron, you never get better. I'm going to use a good example. People play golf for 20 years and they're just as bad as when they end as when they start. And it's because they never got Dr. Aaron to say, hold the club this way, do this way. So one of the things that does drive me Nacho nuts, and I know I have a background of being in a GPR, is that when they go, oh, just go out there and get experience, bad experience is worse than no experience. And it's demoralizing. What's really demoralizing, it's the golf thing. Keep playing and not getting better, you give up on doing it, right? So you need
That's exactly what I stopped.
Yeah, and it's a important thing for dentists to recognize. Someone nicely said that we make an impact by helping people learn all over the world doing this. It's to remember that you're not supposed to know everything just because you went to dental school, and that these are the real world courses. Tell us this. I mean, I know most people, they like drama, right? They like stress stories, but I want a success story. You've told me a couple of times that you ask people to prove the ROI of this course, to prove and say, hey, by this day, tell us one of those stories.
Okay. So typically, a lot of dentists will go to courses with the best of intentions, and then they get a couple of weeks down the road and they haven't done anything, and it kind of drifts away and they never really implement. So what I want to help people out. I want to see them implement. So we run a return on investment challenge. And the idea is, when you've produced enough dentistry to pay for this course, then I want you to send me a picture of the last radiograph with the root canal done and the temporary crown on there, and I will send you a gift. So what we see with it's fun, actually. What we see with our attendees is that if they've been doing any root canal therapy at all, their ROI will average out in about 7 to 10 days. Okay, the absolute winner is 4 hours, and that was a doc that went home Monday morning, had an emergency, and did a 4-rooted second molar root canal, crown, temp on it. Sent me the picture of the X-ray, and I was like, this is amazing. And then her doc, who sent her, sent me a note going, the same X-ray. Hey, this was on our internal communication. This was an amazing thing. So glad that we had you come out.
And you should be so proud of that story. Much like the Dr. Dennis Tarno says, when I go teach someone and I fly around the country, I spend my weekends doing this, right? Everyone has to realize, CE educators, while there's charges to do it, there's a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy to do it. But you get to impact that dentist and their patients forever. And that is just as much about morale as it is about money. I tell young dentists, they go, I don't have money to take CE. I go, well, you just took a $500,000 CE course and it wasn't that good. So now you're going to have to figure out, and I know it's tough, but now you have to figure out how to, I'm not really the gambler, but double down and put another $5,000 or $10,000 into your career each year. And I know it feels uncomfortable, but I've noticed when people do that, Aaron, they magically transform themselves into dentists that are confident. They know how to talk to patients and deliver clinical care. Have you kind of seen that experience happen with your students?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once I can do this procedure, and if you're a young doc, you're usually trying to build your practice or build your practice within the practice, which means you're going to see a bunch of emergencies, which means they're usually going to need molar root canals or surgical extractions. Okay, so if you can't do those, you're just triage for somebody else. And then once you get to the stage where I want to do quadrant dentistry, I want to do full mouth dentistry, you don't want to look at a quadrant of dentistry and go, okay, we're going to do quadrant dentistry, except for that molar root canal. and except for that surgical extraction that has to happen. But other than that, we're going to do quadrant dentistry. As soon as you start throwing out all the different procedures that you don't do, now you're back down to tooth dentistry, and it's way more profitable and less time in the chair. If a patient could sit down, you numb up a quad, and you take care of everything that's sitting there. It just makes life go so much better.
Awesome. I love that you've made it in a digestible, systematic form. When people do text Monday to 215-543-6454, we also have been delivering a lot of this awesome, and I want to say it right. Is it like the setup you use for a root canal and crown, or it's a system for what instruments we use? Tell them more about what we send out to them, because it's really impressive.
Right. So what we want is to be efficient. You want to have the room set up exactly the same way every single time. I mean, your delivery is only 18 by 24, and you can lose something on it for a good 5 minutes, or not 5 minutes, but it takes you time to find stuff. So if everything's in the same spot every time, then you know exactly where it is, and you know that it's all there. So with the template, you drop the template down on the delivery, you fill up the template because there's little spots for each thing, and it says what's supposed to be there on each spot. So you don't have to do a lot of learning other than the names of the things you're going to put on there. And now you can walk into the room, look at the template, know that you're ready to go, and you can go ahead and start. Whereas if you think you're ready to go, and then, I'm missing this thing, and you have to send your assistant out, now I'm missing this thing, you have to send your assistant. So every time you're making the appointment choppy, you're making it slower, and you're making it more frustrating for yourself. If you can get everything out there and on the counter and have just a nice smooth process from start to finish, it makes your life so much easier. And that's where speed comes in. Everybody thinks you have to move faster. It's not that. You need to be organized. You need to have a protocol, a process, and everything needs to be available. That's what makes your appointment smooth, and that's what makes you a faster, more efficient dentist.
Yeah, I love that protocol and process. Well, I appreciate you sharing all of this. I know you're getting ready for one of these courses. People, you've been a great sponsor. They can text Monday to 215-543-6454. Get this free resource for you. Find out about your courses. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience, Aaron, before we wrap up?
No, at this point, a lot of times people will ask me, is this the right course for me? And the bottom line is, if you're trying to learn how to be more efficient and do better, or even start doing molar root canal or canals in general, it's the course for you. We're going to take out all the baggage and all the stuff you don't really need to do. You'll know what makes things successful. You know what makes things so your patient doesn't have a lot of post-op pain, and it will just make you a much more confident practitioner.
I love that. I think I got a good news story for your lectures. You should start off with why I quit golf and why you shouldn't quit doing root canals, right? I quit golf because no one gave you those tweaks. So I'm here to make sure you don't quit doing root canals, and dentists really can't quit doing crowns as general dentists. So, I mean, you're teaching fundamental things. So while golf is a hobby, this is the fundamental part of their livelihood, and you're helping with that. So thanks so much, Dr. Nicholas, for sharing with us. What is the best website if people want to find you?
Our company name is mondaymorningdentistry.com, and it's named that because when I was taking courses, if I didn't have something I could take back and put to use on Monday morning, I was frustrated. I always promised myself, if I was going to teach, it was going to be stuff that you could start Monday morning. So it's mondaymorningdentistry.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dr. Nicholas.
All right. Good talking to you, Paul.